Fire rained from above as alien warships clashed in the atmosphere. The ground shook with every blast, and broken machines lay across the battlefield like metal corpses. Among them stood Jira, a tall cosmic warrior with blue skin, glowing armor, and a blade humming with ancient energy. She was the last of her squad. Her breathing was heavy. Blood trickled from her forehead, but her eyes stayed sharp. Around her, the world screamed in chaos, but she stayed calm. Focused, trained since birth, Jira knew no fear. Her mission was clear: defend the outpost and destroy any enemy that crossed her path. Then she saw him. He was not a soldier, not from her world. Just a human, young, injured, covered in ash, crawling behind a pile of broken steel. He wasn't armed. He wasn't dangerous. He looked up, and their eyes locked. And in that moment, something strange happened. Jira's blade flickered. It lost its glow. It went dark, completely silent. Confused, she looked at the weapon. Never before had it failed her. It was soul-powered, connected to her very being. She tried to reactivate it, but her chest began to throb. A deep vibration pulsed inside her body. Her heart skipped. Then came the sound. Ping, a soft tone inside her head. The soul link had activated. ZHYRA froze. This couldn't be real. The soul link only activates once in a lifetime, and only when it finds a perfect match, a rare connection that bonds two souls beyond species, beyond war. And the match was him. The human stared at her, blinking through smoke and fear. He had no idea what was happening, but Jira knew. Every part of her being screamed the truth. The warrior code was clear. When a soul link forms, all weapons must fall. Jira looked down at her blade and let it drop to the ground. The weapon clanked loudly, the sound sharp and strange among the distant gunfire. Her squad, watching from their airfields, must have seen it. They would think she was surrendering. No one had ever dropped a weapon in the middle of war, but Jira didn't care. She walked slowly toward the human, her hand on her chest. Her steps were heavy, not from injury, but from confusion. She had trained her whole life to fight, not to feel, not to bond. The human backed away, crawling. "No, wait," she said softly, even though she knew he wouldn't understand her. "Words. I'm not going to hurt you." She knelt down beside him. He looked terrified. Jira studied his face, dirt-smudged skin, bleeding arm, wide brown eyes. He looked nothing like her kind. And yet, her chest pulsed again. The soul link was real. Her body wouldn't lie. She reached out a hand. The human hesitated, then took it, and at that moment, a wave of energy passed between them. Warmth, light, calm. The battlefield disappeared in her mind. There was no war, no orders, no duty, just him. Her name appeared in his mind, Jira, and she suddenly knew his name too, Cal. They both flinched. They hadn't spoken it, but the bond had shared it. Suddenly, her earpiece screamed, "Jira, what are you doing? Pick up your weapon." Another voice shouted, "She's compromised. Marked, take her down if necessary." Her people were coming for her. The moment of peace shattered. Jira looked up to the sky. Small red lights appeared, drones. Her squad had locked onto her location. She was now a target. Cal looked around, confused. "What's happening?" She pulled him to his feet. "We have to run." A missile streaked down and exploded nearby, blasting dirt and fire into the air. Jira shielded Cal with her body, taking the heat on her armored back. She growled and grabbed his hand. They ran, across broken land, through smoke and flame. They ran together, warrior and human, linked by fate. Every second, more drones closed in. But Jira no longer cared about her orders. This man was her soul link, her match. And if her people wanted to kill him, they would have to go through her first. The world around them was still shaking when Jira pulled Cal behind a thick wall of fallen ship metal. Smoke filled the air, and flames crackled in the distance. The sky still glowed red, but this time, Cal wasn't just watching the war. He was in it. And he had no idea why a glowing alien warrior had just saved him. Jira knelt beside him, breathing fast but steady. Her body was cut in places, her armor scratched. Yet her eyes were focused on him, not the sky, not the threats. Just him. Cal leaned back, holding his ribs. What the hell is going on? Jira tilted her head, trying to understand his words. They didn't speak the same language, but that didn't matter now. The soul link had already started working. She could feel parts of his emotions, his confusion, his fear, his heartbeat, and he could feel something too, even though he didn't know what she was. His gut told him she wasn't his enemy. She pointed to herself. Jira, she said softly. He blinked. Ra? She nodded, then pointed to him. Cal. He hesitated, surprised. You know my name? Jira nodded again, serious. She touched her chest, where the soul link pulsed under her skin. Linked. He didn't understand the word, but he felt its weight. Something had changed between them. Something bigger than words. Suddenly, a drone zipped overhead, scanning the area with a blue beam. Jira ducked, pulling Cal with her. She whispered in her native tongue. They're still tracking us. Cal flinched. What are those? Why are they after me? Jira stared at him for a long second, then decided to show him. She gently took his hand and placed it over the center of her chest. The moment his fingers touched her skin, the mark began to glow. A soft spiral of white light, pulsing like a second heart. Cal's eyes widened. What is this? Jira looked into his eyes and said one word. Bond. It wasn't English, but the meaning hit him anyway. He looked down at his own chest. He didn't have a mark, but something inside was buzzing. A quiet warmth, like a hidden flame just starting to burn. He pulled his hand back. You're saying we're connected? Jira nodded. She picked up a small shard of metal and scratched it against the stone wall. A crude drawing appeared, two figures standing apart, then glowing lines pulling them together, then a storm forming around them. Cal stared at it. That's us. She nodded again. Her eyes were sad now. Danger, he swallowed. Because of the bond? Because of them, she whispered. She didn't mean the drones. Footsteps echoed nearby. Not loud, controlled, military, heavy boots, multiple units. Jira's eyes darkened. She grabbed Cal's arm and pulled him deeper into the wreckage. They slid down into a hollow chamber of a destroyed alien transport. The steel around them was dented and burned, but it was quiet, safe, for now. Jira leaned against the wall, closing her eyes. Cal sat across from her, watching her silently. For someone who looked like a goddess of war, she seemed tired, alone. I don't get it, he said quietly. Why me? I'm not special. I'm not a soldier. I was just in the wrong place. Jira opened her eyes and stared at him. She could feel the truth in his words. He didn't know why the soul link had chosen him, but she knew better. The bond didn't make mistakes. She reached into her pouch and pulled out a glowing crystal. She pressed it to her temple. A soft light flowed out of it, then drifted toward Cal. It didn't speak. It showed a memory. Jira as a child, standing before a glowing tree. A priestess touching her forehead and saying, one day the bond will come, not from blood, not from species, but from balance. Then another image, her, older, walking through the ruins of a battlefield, finding an old book. Its last page sighed. The soul chooses peace through the unlikely. Cal blinked as the vision faded. You think I'm your peace? Jira nodded slowly. Yes. Before he could speak, a crackling voice echoed outside. Warrior Jira, you are ordered to surrender the human. She stood fast, her hands clenched into fists. Her people were here. You are bonded to a non-recognized species. Return now or be marked for exile. Cal stood up beside her. What do we do? Jira picked up a long metal rod and handed it. To him, we run, or we fight. He looked at the rod like it was a sword. He had never held a weapon in his life. I don't even know how to fight. Jira touched his heart with her fingers. But you protect. That's enough. Suddenly, a blaster beam ripped through the top of the wreckage. Sunlight poured in. Soldiers dropped down. Jira stepped forward, hands raised, eyes locked on Cal. Stay close. He nodded. And as she stood between him and the enemy, glowing. Again with quiet power, Cal realized something strange. He wasn't afraid anymore. The ruins of the battlefield stretched far, but there was no safety left on Droz 9. Jira flew low, her glowing wings beating hard against the ash-filled wind. Cal was in her arms, gripping her tightly. They weren't flying for honor. They weren't escaping a fight. They were running for their lives. The sky behind them roared with engines. Her people were hunting her now, not enemies. Not invaders, her own kin. Shira's mind raced. Less than an hour ago, she was one of them, respected, feared, loyal. But all of that broke the moment her soul link matched with a human. That bond was sacred, but also forbidden, because he was not one of them. Below, the ground was shattered and black. Once, it was a holy place. The outer ruins of the Vow Temple, where warriors used to kneel and promise their lives to honor. She landed hard among the broken stones. Her knees bent, armor scraping against rubble. Cal tumbled forward, coughing as dust filled his lungs. Jira helped him stand. What now? He asked, looking up at the open sky. You said they won't stop. They won't, she said. For a second, they stood still. Just the two of them, surrounded by ancient pillars, cracked statues, and silence. A strange calm in the middle of chaos. Jira looked at a tall stone near the center of the temple. It had carving stories of warriors from her past. She touched the symbols and whispered softly. Cal watched her. What is this place? She looked over her shoulder. A sacred place, where truth begins. He stepped beside her. Jira took a deep breath, then turned to face him. You must understand. The bond isn't just feeling. It's connection. It makes two people one. He frowned. One? But I'm not like you. I know, she said. That's why it's powerful. She reached into a hidden slot in her armor and pulled out a soul stone, a small crystal. Glowing softly. This is what lets the soul link live. You feel strange inside, yes? He nodded. Like a heartbeat that isn't mine. She handed him the stone. When he touched it, the air shimmered. Images flashed through his mind. He saw her life training as a child. Bleeding in the arena, flying in victory, then standing alone in shadows. Always alone. And then he saw himself through her eyes. Small, fragile, human. But brave, kind, different. He dropped the stone, gasping. What was that? A memory, Jira said. Shared through the bond. Now you've seen my truth. Cal stepped back, overwhelmed. Then a voice shouted from above. Jira, surrender now. Drones hovered at the edge of the ruins. Soldiers landed on the stone steps, weapons ready. Jira didn't move. Cal looked at her. They'll kill us. She narrowed her eyes. Not if we complete the bond. What does that mean? It means you must choose, she said quietly. To stand beside me, not as a passenger, not as a rescue, but as my other half. More footsteps approached. She turned to face the soldiers. Her people aimed plasma rifles at her chest. You are charged with treason, one of them shouted. You bonded with a lesser. Stand down. Jira looked back at Cal. It must be now. He was breathing fast. I'm not a fighter, Jira, but you're still here, she said softly. And that matters more. The soldiers stepped Forward, Jira held out her hand to Cal. Touch my mark. He looked into her eyes, then slowly reached out and placed his hand over the glowing mark on her chest. A sudden burst of light exploded from their bodies. The soldiers stumbled back, energy surged between them. Symbols etched into the ground began to glow. The temple responded, recognizing the bond. Jira lifted her chin. This place was built to honor the bond, she said. It sees us. Even if my people don't. Cal felt his body warming. Not from heat, but from something deeper. The bond was real. And it wasn't just between their hearts. It was spreading through his blood, his bones. Jira stepped forward, her wings rising. The lead soldier raised his weapon. Stop! But he hesitated. That the warrior before him didn't look like a traitor. She looked divine. And the human beside her glowed with the same light. Then a shot rang out, not at them, but from behind. A drone exploded. From the shadows stepped a cloaked figure, one of the old temple guards, thought to be extinct. His voice echoed through the ruins. The bond is sacred, and I will not let it be destroyed. Jira's eyes widened. You're still alive? The old guard stepped closer, long enough to see the return of the true bond. Cal stared in awe. The guard raised his hand and a shield formed around them, blocking the soldiers. You must leave now, the guard said. Go before the High Council arrives. They will not show mercy. Jira bowed her head. She grabbed Cal's hand and whispered, We're not running anymore. We're surviving together. And with one final look at her people, Jira took to the sky again. But this time, she was not just fleeing. She was fighting for a future. The stars stretched wide around them. Jira flew the stolen sky cycle through the silent upper atmosphere, her eyes scanning the blackness ahead. Behind her, Cal gripped the back rail tightly, trying not to fall off. The city below had vanished into clouds. The noise of war was now a whisper beneath them. They had escaped for now. But there was no time to relax. Jira knew the council wouldn't stop. A soul link between a human and a cosmic warrior was not just rare, it was illegal. Her bond with Cal wasn't seen as a miracle. It was seen as a threat. Cal tapped her shoulder. Where are we going? Jira answered without turning her head. To the vaults, he frowned. Vaults? She turned slightly, her voice steady. A hidden base. My ancestors built it. Only bonded pairs could enter. It will protect us and test us. The sky cycle dived toward a canyon hidden in the shadows of the ice mountains. Beneath the snow, ancient walls opened as they approached. A blue light scanned their bodies, and the stone doors slid open. Inside, it was silent, cold, beautiful. Pillars, made of silver and crystal, stood like frozen giants. Strange lights floated in the air like slow stars. Every surface glowed with quiet energy. Cal stepped down slowly. This place feels alive. It is, Jira said. It knows when truth walks in. They walked side by side into the heart of the vault. There, a circle of energy waited, an ancient ritual space. At its center, a glowing stone floated. Spinning slowly, Jira stepped forward. This is where bonds are tested. The soul link is not just emotion, it must survive pain, fear, truth. Cal rubbed the back of his neck. I didn't sign up for any of this, you know. She turned toward him. But you stayed. He looked at her, serious. Because you saved me, and because when you looked at me, it didn't feel like pity, it felt like I mattered. Jira's face softened. You do. She held out her hand. Step into the circle. He hesitated, then took her hand and stepped forward. The moment they entered the ring, energy snapped around them. The circle lit up with blinding light. Their chests glowed with the bond symbol, brighter than before. Their breathing sensed. Their thoughts began to slip into each other's minds. Memories crashed in. Jira saw a younger Cal sitting alone on Earth, Watching ships leave the atmosphere, never chosen, always overlooked. She saw his loneliness, his fear of being too ordinary. Cal saw her training under endless pressure, punished for any emotion, told that love made warriors weak. He saw the scars she hid under her armor. They both flinched. Then the vault spoke. A voice, ancient and deep, echoed in their minds. The bond is forming. But the fire of one can destroy the other. Only balance will complete the link. Suddenly, the ground cracked. Illusions formed from light and shadow. Jira's former commander stepped out, eyes burning with judgment. "Jira," the illusion barked. "You were our strongest. You threw it away. For this human?" She stood frozen. Cal stepped between. "Them. She didn't throw anything away. She chose me. And maybe I'm not a warrior, but I'm not afraid of you." The illusion raised its weapon. Jira's heart raced. She reached for Cal's hand. "You don't have to fight for me." He gripped tighter. "I'm not fighting for you. I'm fighting with you." The light around them flared again. The illusion shattered into dust. The vault glowed in approval. Then came the second test sphere. From the other side of the chamber, a shadow formed. Cal's greatest fear. It was him, alone in a cell, forgotten by everyone, not even Jira in sight. The vision whispered, "She'll leave you." "They all do." Jira stepped into the shadow without hesitation. "I don't run from fear, and I don't leave my bond." She pressed her forehead to his. "I've seen your pain. It won't scare me away." The darkness broke. The vault spoke again. "The bond is true, not from blood, not from species, but from choice." Energy exploded from the floor, wrapping around their bodies in ribbons of gold light. Their symbols burned brighter, merging into one shared pattern. They collapsed into each other's arms, breathless. Cal looked up at her. "That was insane." Jira smiled for the first time. "Welcome to my world." Suddenly, a siren blared in the distance. Jira's face turned serious. "They found us. The elites are coming." Cal looked toward the vault entrance. "We just passed the test. Can we survive the war?" Jira stood up, her wings spreading wide. "Now that our bond is complete, we don't just survive," she said. "We fight back." The vault's doors exploded inward. Fire burst through the entrance as metal boots slammed down onto the crystal floors. 10 warriors marched in, cloaked in black armor, eyes glowing red. They were not normal soldiers. They were hunter elites, the deadliest enforcers of Jira's world. Born without soul links, raised without emotion, trained only to hunt and erase those who disobeyed the ancient laws. At their lead stood Commander Kale, a towering figure whose voice had once trained Jira in her younger years. Now his voice was cold as stone. "You were the finest of us, Jira," he said. "And now you kneel beside a human?" Jira stood tall. Her wings flared behind her. Her body glowed with the golden mark of the completed bond. "I don't kneel," she replied. "I rise with him." Cal stepped beside her, holding the staff she had given him. His hands were shaking, but his eyes stayed locked on the enemy. Kale scoffed. "He is weak." Jira didn't blink. "Then explain why I'm stronger now than ever before." Kale raised his hand. The other elites fanned out, circling the bonded pair. Jira's voice dropped low. "Cal, listen to me." He nodded. "I'm listening. When the fighting starts, stay close. Your presence fuels me. Touch my arm if you feel fear. The bond will protect us both." Cal took a breath. "Do I hit them with this stick?" She smiled. "Yes, aim for the soft spots." Kale didn't wait. "Strike." The elites charged. Jira leapt forward, her blade igniting mid-air. The vault responded to her presence, sending shimmering light along her armor. She spun, slashing through the first attacker's weapon. Sparks flew. Cal ducked behind a pillar as a plasma shot screamed past his head. His heart pounded, but he remembered her words, stay close. He ran back into the circle and pressed his hand to her back. The bond pulsed like thunder. Jira cried out, not in pain, but in power. Her blade glowed even brighter. She moved faster, stronger. One by one, she dropped the elites with precise, blinding strikes. Kale stepped into the fight now, his own blade hissing with dark energy. He swung for Jira's head. She blocked, barely there. Blades clashed, sending shockwaves across the vault. Cal watched, helpless, as Kale pushed her back. You're not thinking clearly, Jira, Kale growled. This isn't a bond, it's poison. She staggered. You've never felt it. You don't know. Kale raised his sword, and then Cal ran forward. No! Jira shouted. But Cal dove under Kale's legs, swung the metal staff with all his strength, and cracked it against the back of Kale's knee. The elite roared and fell sideways. Jira spun and knocked his blade out of his hand. Then, blade at Kale's throat, she whispered, weak? He just saved me. The other elites froze. The vault began to glow again, responding to the truth. The energy in the room changed. The crystal pillars hummed. The very walls of the chamber pulsed with light. Jira turned to Cal, her chest rising and falling fast. You did it, she said. Cal leaned on the staff, panting. I hit a space commander with a metal stick. I can't feel my arms. She laughed softly. You're not just bonded, you're brave. Kale snarled from the floor. You think you've won? The council will come. They will destroy this place. Jira looked down at him, calm. No, the bond is complete. And this place will protect us. Suddenly, the vault ceiling opened, revealing the stars above. A pillar of golden light descended, wrapping around Jira and Cal. It lifted them slowly into the air. What's happening? Cal shouted. Jira looked up, eyes wide with awe. The vault is recognizing us. The voice of the ancient system echoed once again. Soul link complete. New path unlocked. Starborn command granted. In a burst of light, they vanished from the chamber. They reappeared inside a massive chamber far above the planet, hidden in orbit. Invisible to all technology, they stood on the bridge of an ancient starcraft designed only for bonded pairs. Screens flickered to life. Symbols danced around them. A seat formed beneath Cal, and another behind Jira. She looked around, stunned. This ship, it's been waiting. Cal dropped into the seat. For us, she smiled. For the bond. For what's next? The ship hummed softly around them. Cal stood at the massive window, looking out into space. Stars glimmered like cold sparks. The ship, ancient, golden, alive, moved without noise, controlled by their bond. Every surface responded to Jira and Cal like it knew them. Jira stepped beside him. This ship was built for only one kind of pilot, two who are linked by soul, not blood. Cal shook his head. It feels too big for someone like me, she smiled. You feel small because you were raised in a world that never saw your worth. He turned to her. You did. Before she could reply, alarms lit up the room. A hologram flickered in the center console. A council flagship had entered orbit. Jira's face darkened. They found us, already? They tracked the vault signal when it opened. Cal glanced at the floating image. How big is that ship? Big enough to destroy this one. Suddenly, the transmission opened. A familiar voice filled the room. Jira, this is High Commander Vor. You have violated the laws of our kind. Your link with the human must be severed immediately. Stand down and surrender. Jira stood tall. You always feared the bond. Now you want to kill it. Vor's tone turned colder. No, I want to save you. Bring the human aboard. We'll remove the bond and set you free. Cal looked at her. What does he mean, remove the bond? Jira didn't answer. Her silence was enough. He stepped back. Jira, what happens if they try? She swallowed hard. The link is in our hearts now. To tear it out means death. Cal froze. She reached for his hand. I won't let them touch you. Suddenly, the ship jolted. They had been caught in a tractor beam. The flagship was pulling them in. Jira ran to the controls. I can't break free. They're overriding us. Is there a way to stop them? She looked at him, her face calm. There's one. Before Cal could ask what, a bright light surrounded them. Their ship was being boarded. The golden doors opened. Jira's father stepped in. He looked just like the statues in the old temples, tall, powerful, dressed in the robes of judgment. His eyes burned with both anger and sorrow. Daughter, he said. Father, she replied without fear. He glanced at Cal with disgust. This is your choice? A human? He is not just human, she replied. He is mine. You've doomed yourself, he said, but I can still save you. He held out a crystal rod, glowing with pale light. One touch, and the bond will be gone. You'll be free. You'll be pure again. Jira didn't move. Cal looked at her. What if you took it? You'd survive, right? Jira's voice cracked. You wouldn't. The silence hit like a weapon. Cal blinked. You mean, if we break the bond? I live, you die. The father stepped forward. The human knew what he risked. Let him go. Cal's voice was quiet. Jira, maybe it's worth it if it means you live. She turned on him, furious. Don't say that. Don't ever say that. I'm not like you, Cal whispered. I'm not strong. She stepped close, pressed her forehead to his. But you stayed. That's stronger than anything. Her father raised the rod. Then you both die. He activated the bond-severing device. A wave of energy hit them both. Cal screamed as his chest burned. The golden symbol on his skin began to flicker. Jira dropped to her knees, gasping. Her wings faded, her strength draining. Jira! Cal's voice broke. The pain twisted through them, ripping their minds apart. Their memories blurred. Their connection faded. Then something unexpected happened. The ship fought back. Lights surged. Walls cracked. The floor split open as power poured from the core. The ship rejected the bond's removal. A voice roared from deep inside. You do not break what is eternal. The rod shattered in Jira's father's hands. The ship exploded with energy, blasting everyone back. Jira crawled toward Cal. He was barely breathing, blood running from his nose. She cradled his head in her lap, tears falling onto his face. Stay with me. Please, stay. He opened his eyes slightly. Jira. She kissed his forehead. I won't let go. Suddenly, the bond mark on their chests lit up again, brighter than ever. The ship heeled around them. Cal gasped and took a deep breath. She held him tightly. Her father watched in silence. The ship's core spoke again. The soul link is beyond law. It is life. You tried to end it. Now you stand judged. The golden energy surged toward him. He tried to run, but the ship bound him in light, holding him in place, neither dead nor free. Jira stood, still holding Cal's hand. She looked at her father for the last time. You lost me the day you chose power over truth. Then she turned to Cal, who was slowly standing again. Are you okay? She asked. He smiled weakly. Not dead. That's a start. She pulled him close. You almost gave up everything for me. He whispered, because you gave it first. The stars had never looked so quiet. The ancient bond ship drifted peacefully in orbit, its golden hull glowing softly against the black sky. Inside, silence held the air, not from fear, but from peace after chaos. Jira stood at the center of the command chamber, her long hair falling loose over her armor. Beside her, Cal adjusted the strange robes the ship had formed for him, woven directly from light and memory. He still didn't fully understand the ship or the bond, or why the stars now felt warmer, but he understood one thing clearly. They had survived, together. He glanced at Jira. So what now? Do we just fly around until someone else tries to kill us? She gave him a rare smile. No, we go home. Cal blinked. Which one, yours or mine? Jira turned to the star map. A glowing path unfolded across space. A trail no one had taken before, a new path. A third way, neither. She said, we make a new home, one that accepts the bond. One where warriors and humans aren't enemies or secrets. Cal laughed softly. You make that sound easy. It won't be, she said. But we're not alone. The door opened behind them. The old Vault Guardian entered, his robe now marked with the full crest of the completed soul link. He bowed to them both. You are no longer fugitives, he said. The bond has spoken, and the galaxy listened. Jira raised an eyebrow. Listened? He nodded. When the bond lit through the stars, other bonded pairs awoke across the sectors. Ones who had hidden, ones who had fled. You lit the fire. Now others follow. Cal's eyes widened. You mean, there are more like us? Many, the Guardian replied. But you were the first to stand in the open, and now you will lead. Jira's face turned serious. Lead what? A new council, he said. Not of rulers, but of bonded. Human and alien, warrior and heart. Suddenly, a second transmission lit up the main console. This time, it wasn't a warning. It was a call. The screen showed a small human ship, limping through the void. Its pilot, a woman with deep scars, and a glowing bond mark on her neck. Beside her sat an alien male with silver skin, holding her hand. We saw your signal, the woman said. We didn't know there were others. Jira pressed her hand to the console. There are now. More signals followed one after another, all from ships like theirs, all carrying bonded pairs who had hidden in the shadows of fear. And now, they were gathering. Cal stepped back, overwhelmed. What do we even call this? Jira touched the symbol on her chest, the one they both shared. We call it the new link. The old ways had broken. The old laws had burned, and from the ashes something new had risen, brighter than war, deeper than blood. They stood on the observation deck. Cal leaned against the railing, looking down at the blue curve of the nearest planet. It looked untouched, peaceful, waiting. Jira stepped beside him. Her hand slid into his. He didn't pull away. She spoke quietly. I never knew what the bond really meant. I thought it was power, strength, a weapon. Cal looked at her. It's not? No, she whispered. It's choice. He nodded slowly. Then I choose this. They turned to each other. There were no more drones. No more enemies. No more rules written by old voices who feared love between different kinds. There was only the bond, and the future they would write. Together. Final scene. As their ship flew across the stars, hundreds of others joined them in formation, each glowing with their own unique bond symbols, a fleet not built for war, but for hope. Jira stood at the helm. Cal stood beside her. And together, they became the first leaders of the Linkburn era, not as human or alien, not as male or female, not even as warrior and survivor, but as one.